What's good, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Game Share Podcast. It's been a while since we've done one of these. You know,
I was about to say a hot minute.
it's been a hot minute, but we just a lot of us got busy. With a lot of shit we had to do. Couldn't find the time, but now we got the time to record a new episode. And for this episode, we're gonna be talking about video game sequels, which we had that planned for a while, but just never got to it. But before we get into it, let's start with the introductions. Oh, and I should mention we're recording on Discord now, so y'all can see who exactly is talking, or at least when we're talking. I see our profile pictures light up. I mean, as you can see, I'm the top left, a picture of Jocharo Kujo. And then we got E-Man right beside me. He's Exio. We got Ghosted down below. He's Deku. And we got Chetty. He's just literally himself.
I am me. That is a fact.
Yes, you are you. Yeah.
Me is me.
So I mean, I basically just did the introductions. You know who we are. We've done how many episodes of these things, right? Like,
oh, did men see my name? I think they do.
Well, you said your name, so.
Man, I messed up. Now you guys know my government name. See my name.
You said your name on. I said email.
Yeah, I know. No, I'm playing.
Sumit's not here because
he's walking his dog.
Lack of communication. I don't know where the fuck this dude is.
He's just a busy guy.
But
he doesn't have a dog.
We have to start. We had to start. So let's get into it. Let's get into video game sequels. Okay, and I kind of want to talk about like what makes a great video game sequel.
Okay.
I mean, I could start off unless someone wants to say something real quick.
So, yeah, can we talk about what a video game sequel is first, so I can get some clarification here?
Yeah. So I would say for me, like, it's kind of tough because you have games like the Final Fantasy games, right? Those are technically kind of sequels, but they don't necessarily follow up any of the story from the previous game. So it's kind of it's tough when you classify games that are sequels, but they don't necessarily follow up any story from the previous game.
But it follows the same world, or is it like an alternative?
No, they don't follow the same world necessarily. I don't think any of them really follow the same world if we're talking about Final Fantasy. But then when you compare that to a game like Grand Theft Auto, right?
Oh.
So is Grand Theft Auto 5 sequel?
It's set in the same world.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. I guess it kind of a sequel can be like a development of the theme of the game, like Final Fantasy. There's like a specific theme that like changes. I don't know if that's a good definition of a sequel, though.
No, I mean, like, would you guys say like a sequel is just necessarily anything that follows up the previous game, or do you think it has to have some sort of connection to the previous game to be like an official sequel?
I think like it has to have the similar ideas, like Borderlands. I want to say actually Borderlands has like
but Borderlands follows up the previous games.
Yeah, but has specific themes, or it just builds new themes on top of it.
Yeah, but Borderlands, it still follows up the story that was set up in the previous game. It just gives you a whole new cast of characters that you work with.
Okay, so I guess a better example would be Fate Zero. I know there's no games for it, but it's just like the specific theme about the Holy War. Like it may differ the rules, but it's the same.
But here's the thing: you bring up Fate Zero. Fate Zero serves as a prequel to the previous Fate Stay Night series, and even then, if you watch Fate Zero first, that directly leads in to everything that happens in the Fate Stay Night franchise, because there's a lot of stuff that happens in Fate Zero that has that has like direct implications into Fate Stay Night, Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, or Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel, whichever one you follow up with. So that's why, like, it's a good point to ask, like, what constitutes as a video game sequel? Can it just be a game with the same name and the same franchise and just call it 2, like something like Final Fantasy or Grand Theft Auto? Or does it have to directly follow up with the story that was set in the previous game?
Some deep questions that I never thought of.
Man says it's too deep for a Saturday. I'm just gonna say, like, for me, it's any game that came after the original one that started the franchise.
So it could be like the story can be a prequel.
So for you, it doesn't have to do anything with the previous game as long as it follows up the next game, or not follows up, but as long as it's like a sequel in the franchise, it's like it's cool as a sequel for you.
Yeah, because I know with Call of Duty, right? Like, sure, the stories are like either have same characters, but like might be completely different stories, or might just be a completely like new campaign with different characters. But realistically, it's, you go from Black Ops 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and you play it for the multiplayer. So in that sense, it's like, yeah, it's a sequel, and it might not have a lot in common, but still a
Okay,
sequel
well,
in that regard.
let's break it down further to single player and multiplayer games, or at least in this case, a single player, like a campaign sequel, right?
Okay.
You have a game like Black Ops. Doesn't Black Ops 2 still follow Black Ops 1?
Yeah.
And then I don't know about Black Ops 3. I didn't play the campaign. I don't know what happens in it. Does that have anything to do with Black Ops 1 or 2?
I didn't play a campaign.
Yeah, I didn't play the campaign either.
Oh, okay. Literally
can't
just
tell
buying
you
Call of
that
Duty
much.
for the multiplayer.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay.
like, yeah, I used to buy for a campaign. I stopped.
So I'm just trying to, like, just so we figure this out early, what we can classify as a sequel. If it's set in the same world, is that enough for it to be considered a sequel?
It can be considered a form of a sequel. I think
Because GTA, like, you look at GTA 5, right? GTA 5 has a ton of references to previous GTA games, doesn't it?
It's definitely a sequel, but is it like,
Yeah. It's not a direct sequel, but it's more of an in-world sequel.
yeah,
Because it has references that, you think, okay, it's not a follow-up to the story exactly, but it has a lot of references to the previous games where you can, imagine it's a world sequel because, well, you have like Grove Street in GTA 5. I think you could go to Grove Street.
yeah.
And that's something that happens in San Andreas. Granted, I don't know all the GTA games, so I can't say for sure whether they follow up exactly. But I think, at least for me, a video game sequel, a direct sequel for a campaign, at least has to, like, be set in the same world or the same type of, universe or whatever, for me to consider it a direct, like, a sequel to the previous game. And when it comes to multiplayer, it's multiplayer. They can do whatever the hell they want. It doesn't have to necessarily follow up anything that the previous game has done. It just has to improve on more of the gameplay aspects that the previous game set up.
I mean, what about those multiplayers that have like campaign mode? Destiny. I mean, that's not multiplayer per se, but it's like part of it.
You say Destiny?
Yeah, I said Destiny.
Well, Destiny 2 is definitely a sequel of Destiny because I know
Yeah.
they continue up the story, and that's what makes it a sequel. Set in the same world, I believe.
And just so we're clear right now, like, sequel, it doesn't have to be like anything. It doesn't have to be like directly the second one. It could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever.
Yeah,
Right?
it can be a sequel or anything.
Okay, so it's as long as we have that, we have that figured out. So we could like agree something like Final Fantasy, which has nothing to do with the previous games, right? Those aren't really sequels necessarily.
Yeah, it would have to be like set in the same world.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, you got a nice fixed definition of it.
Okay, so what would you guys say are some of the Okay, let me. What do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about great video game sequels that we played, or do you want to talk about what you think are the greatest video game sequels?
Like, are we gonna talk about like
straight into the
Or
greatest?
actually, no. Let's talk about
I don't know.
what makes a great video game sequel. Why don't we talk about that first? That seems
Sure.
fair, right?
Sure.
So
Okay.
whoever wants to go next, just like say whatever, right?
Yeah.
But to you, what makes a great video game sequel, whether it be for a multiplayer game or a campaign game? What do you think makes actually no, let me rephrase that. What makes a video game sequel surpass the original? Because I think
I was gonna say for a sequel to be like great, has to surpass the original.
Yeah. I was gonna say that.
Otherwise, you can just say it's a good series.
it's a solid follow up.
Yeah. So that's like a given right there. It has to be a really good follow up to the original.
So what do you mean by like a good follow up? Like specific aspects of
So
it?
like Borderlands 2, for example, I know that's the one game I keep going back to. That one, the graphics were way better. The story was way more exciting with Handsome Jack being a centerpiece of it. There was way more variety and like different guns with different abilities. More than just shooting metal bullets. In Borderlands 1, it was less variety. It was still a good game, but it was like a lot there's a lot less variety in things to do and weapons to use, and the game was just a big overall like improvement.
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't there also more guns? I don't know about Borderlands 3, but
What do you mean from like 1 to 2?
yeah, like 1 to 2.
Yeah, they added like there's the regular weapons and then there's like the unique ones, right? So they added a way more unique ones that have like special abilities and stuff.
And would you say that adds to the fun, or is it just like
Oh, 100%. Like a big part of the game is just finding these unique things and then making builds and using them, seeing just how good they can be if you have the right build, and there's just so many different things you can do. I have like bare hours on that.
I want to ask.
I have hours on the game on PlayStation 3, on PlayStation 4, and on Steam, and on Epic.
I want to ask. So, what makes Borderlands 2 a great video game sequel and a better follow up to 1, but not Borderlands 3? Because I don't hear people talk about Borderlands 3 in the same, in the same vein as Borderlands 2.
The thing with like Borderlands 1, right? It was sort of one of the earliest looter shooter genre. That was like the genre name essentially. It almost created that genre.
Yeah.
Where you're first person shooter, and as you play you loot and stuff. There wasn't a whole lot. Destiny, like, I wouldn't say copied, but like got a lot of inspiration from that sort of type of gameplay. And then when Borderlands 2 came out, they kept the same formula. They kept their original formula, but made it even better without having to get inspiration or copy off of any other game title. And it was just something that was fresh and original, but it was still so well done that it just became like a classic at that point.
Okay, but what?
I think his question was about Borderlands 3.
Yeah, my question was about Borderlands 3.
The thing is 3, right? The thing
Yeah,
is 3. It was really like just in general, it's gonna be hard to like one up Borderlands 2, right? And the thing with 3, they did change up the graphic style a bit, which wasn't taken. Like a lot of people still like the OG graphics from Borderlands 2 and whatnot, but still, I just feel like the only reason it wasn't as well received was because it's just that much harder to follow up.
Okay.
So it
Like
didn't really.
it would have garnered like so many more expectations, or people would have just like probably would have enjoyed a big DLC to Borderlands 2 over Borderlands 3 at that point, because it's the game that they know and love
So you
versus
don't.
a new game.
So you don't think Borderlands 3 did anything to further what Borderlands 2 had already set up?
They tried to change it up for sure, but I guess not a lot of people were looking for that change. There were some changes in the right direction, some kind of like iffy, but I mean, it's a different game, that's for sure. Borderlands 3.
Okay. By the way, I should mention spoilers. Like, this is going to be spoiler filled.
Yeah, I tried not to like say too much about the story and stuff, but it's a good game. If you haven't played Borderlands 2, just saying you should play it.
I mean,
Yeah,
if you wanna
that's
play
it. That's it for
Borderlands,
me.
get-
That's the one sequel that I can like think of off the top of my head.
Okay.
Single set?
Go say. You want to go next?
Oh no! I want to say like when you said just play Borderlands 2 right away, forget about the first one. Do you necessarily mean like they should just play 2 and ignore
So
one?
so the thing is, that's what I did. I did play Borderlands 1 before too, but I didn't finish the story. And starting from like Borderlands 2 without remembering that much, it wasn't that bad. I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. You can honestly start from Borderlands 2 because a lot of the stuff you learn in Borderlands 1 is probably just like lore and like some old characters that you don't really hear about that much.
It's more world building.
So as
if
far as
anything.
like keeping up with the plot, like you can straight up just go to Borderlands 2.
So
I've-
it pretty much it's like a standalone story in a sense. Like it's pretty much good on its own.
It's in the same universe. It follows Borderlands 1, but
Yeah.
it's a whole different set of characters essentially.
I feel like the Borderlands games always have like more self-contained stories. I mean, obviously there's a lot of world building in the Borderlands games, but when it comes to the campaign, it always feels more self-contained within the game itself. Like, I don't think you really need to play Borderlands 2 in order to fully understand everything that's happening in Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
I guess you could play it just to understand a few things about the world around you, but for the story, I don't think you really need it. And you could play Tales from the Borderlands, but that's really only to understand one certain part of the Borderlands 3 story that happens. But then again, it's not a necessity for you to play.
If anything, you could just watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next?
I guess I'll go. One of the great sequels I gotta talk about is God of War, PS4. That is
Well, first before you get into that, sorry, just like what do you think makes a great, like, what do you think makes a video game sequel surpass the original
okay. So
for it to be great?
it was kind of gonna build on Chetty's like what I noted on Chetty's stuff. It's just that I think that it has to have a good story on itself. Like it can revolve around the same universe, but it's like its own story. Like if I were to see the first and second game, they give me a glimpse into like what I was missing, but not too much. Like I didn't miss like, oh, what's this hero? What's this? I just know enough to be like, okay, so this is the story, and this is how it's gonna go. So like in God of War, I think like we understood the main character he had his own thing that he did in the past, and now this is his own story revolving about another alternate future of his. Like this is where he was.
Hold on, wait. Which God of War are we talking about though?
Oh, I'm talking about the latest one, PS4.
The PS4? Okay, so like we can, yeah.
So like it doesn't rely too much on its past, but of course like there are callbacks to its like God of War 1, 2, and 3, and like just like the choices. No, I'm not gonna say his choices that he makes with the weapons and nostalgia. Like I can't say that word, or pretty much like the things that make it more memorable, except the sex scenes, but otherwise. Not saying you can't. Okay.
Wait. Why did you remember those though? Why did you remember those?
Why you remember?
I was a little boy, okay? I don't know why I remember that, but I
Oh, sounds memorable, huh? Okay.
Those sex scenes in God of War?
I mean, I didn't mind it, but
Oh, oh,
I mean,
I see.
I gotta get those XPs, you know, those blue orbs.
You gotta get those orbs.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think those orbs represent something else in those sex scenes. Go
they help progress. I mean,
go going in there thinking I gotta get this XP. All right, let's go. Let's go.
I mean, that's amazing. But you see, in the newest God of War, they don't do that. But what I love about it is just like they take a whole new play style with it, unlike the first three. And that's very hesitant at first. But then what stood out is like how the story was portrayed around this mythos and how I'm gonna say how easy it is to follow along with it. Like if you were to get lost, like if you don't pay attention to the story, you can still remember what you're doing. Sometimes you do get lost in some campaign missions. I got lost like once, but otherwise it's a fairly fun game to play.
I don't know. You convinced me about them not having
Fun.
sex scenes. I refuse to believe God of War is a superior sequel. You brought up the point about the sex scene, so yeah, God of War, yeah, not a great sequel. Putting that on record.
So is that why?
No, I disagree with you about something you said about the God of War sequel though. The PS4 version, God of War 4. That's what we're talking about. I disagree with you on something. You said the God of War PS4 doesn't rely on the previous games. It relies heavily on the previous games.
Okay.
And here's why. I'm gonna go on a whole long essay about the God of War games real quick. So just bear with me. I was gonna say God of War PS4 is a great sequel, but before I mention that, I think God of War 3 was the best out of that trilogy, the original Olympus Kratos Revenge trilogy, because it ties up all the themes from the previous games and it gives you a satisfactory conclusion. You get to beat Zeus, you get to take down Olympus, you get to finally have your revenge. You do everything the games have been setting up, and it's done in such a satisfying way. If you listen to us on our a previous episode of our podcast where you talk about the most memorable video game deaths, we talk about how, one of the most memorable ones is, Kratos beating shit out of Zeus for however long.
Yeah.
And that shit can run on for such a long time that there's blood all over the screen and whatever. We talked about it. Go check out the previous episode, or one of our previous episodes. I'm not sure if it's exactly a previous one, but I think that's what makes God of War 3 such a great sequel, and it's better than the first two games because it ties everything up that was already setting up, and also the fact that Kratos, that line where Kratos says, "My vengeance ends now." It also ties up his vengeance story where he's done everything that he's needed to do, and there's nothing left for him to do. The God of War PS4 games, or game, I should say, heavily relies on the fact that Kratos understands what it's like for vengeance to consume him, what it's like to be a god, and what type of burden it carries. And he's trying to teach that to his son Atreus. But also at the same time, he kind of rejects his son Atreus because of the blood that flows within him, which is that of a god. So when you're saying it doesn't really rely on the previous game, that's not true. Because the previous games set up everything about Kratos' character, why he hates gods, why he swore vengeance against them, and why it works in the PS4 game. But not only that, we see a far more subdued, a far more not mature. What's the word I'm looking for?
Seasoned.
Responsible, yes, but a bit more cautious too. Like a cautious Kratos who doesn't want to tell, every single person that he's a god from a different realm or whatever. I'm not sure how they're setting that up yet. And I think that's what makes the previous, or not the previous, the PS4 God of War game so great. Because of how much it relies on the third game and its conclusion. to set up this new trilogy, or however many games they're setting up, and furthering Kratos' character and developing him more. Because now, not only that, he has a second chance of being a father, because as you know, first game, he killed his family.
Yeah.
And the ashes are still on him.
Mhm.
And now he has a new chance at being a father with his son, but he's a bit more standoffish, and you understand why his character is like that. And that's just with Kratos' character. That's why I think the game is already better than the original trilogy. But not only that, there's more world building in this new God of War game. And I think that's what makes it better too. It's a lot more intriguing. Because we understand he's in the Norse mythology realm or whatever, with Zeus, Odin, Loki, it's his son, but Tyr and all these guys, right? But also teases you about these other realms with Egyptian gods, Japanese gods, I think Mayan gods too. It's giving you little teases and hints about a greater world around the God of War universe that no one really ever thought of.
Yeah.
I think that's the story aspects of what makes the God of War game a great sequel.
But then, like, would because you said God of War 3, you said it was a great. So you're saying it's a great story because how it sums up everything.
If we're taking God of War 4 out of the equation, then like God of War 3 was already the best out of that trilogy. In my opinion, I think God of War 3 is the best out of that trilogy because of how much it ties up and how satisfying the conclusion is. And it works with the theme of vengeance they have.
Yeah.
Where Kratos let his vengeance consume him so much that he literally destroyed the world. And because he had, like, his vengeance was over, he had nothing more. Like, he felt like he had nothing more in his life now. And the only way to really complete his vengeance was by, taking his own life. And killing the final god that existed within the Greek realm.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys agree with me? Disagree with me?
No, I definitely agree with you.
There's a lot of themes that go on in that story.
Yeah.
And it is really good.
And
really intricate.
It's like it's progressing the God of War. I don't think we really expected the God of War universe to progress like this, or them to really build so much lore around it the way they're doing it right now. Because you see in the game, like Tyr's vault, he has like different artifacts from different realms of gods, like Egypt and Sparta and all those places. And for me, that's something a video game sequel has to do in order to, like, if they want to be better than the previous game, it's build on what the game had, build around those themes, progress those themes, progress your lore, progress your world. If we're talking campaign games, I think that's what you need to do. And there have been games that have failed at that in progressing your themes. There have been games that have come close to progression, but they didn't hit the mark. Like God of War, or not God of War. The Walking Dead Season 2 is a very solid sequel. And I like the themes that it was building on, but it didn't really progress the way that the first season of The Walking Dead did. In fact, I think season 2 of The Walking Dead regressed because in that there was a lot more dialogue with talking with the characters. There was a lot more in-depth decisions that you could have in those little bits of dialogue. But with season 2 of The Walking Dead, they didn't really have that. They took a lot of that out from that game. And it felt like your choices didn't matter as much as it did in the first season. I mean, I still love the game. I mean, what do you guys think?
With like, well, okay. Talking about like Walking Dead, I feel like 2 and 3 were okay. 2 and 3 weren't good follow-ups for the first season, but
I think 2
my
was
opinion,
solid. 3 wasn't a great follow up.
yeah, 3 wasn't good. Like, it didn't really follow up nicely, I'd
Yeah.
say. But then 4, you can really, that's a great sequel.
Yes,
I
that
feel
is
like.
a great sequel.
That is a fantastic sequel. Because for me, like, what makes a good sequel is like, I'm more gameplay oriented. Like, gameplay first, story second kind
Yeah.
of guy. That's how I feel. So if you improve the gameplay, then like it could be a good sequel to me, even if the story is not that good. Like with Walking Dead season, like if you compare it to season 1 and season 4, or like or season 3, season 4, like that, like exponentially got better gameplay wise, and then your decisions made had more of an impact
Yes.
than probably you wanted. Like maybe a little bit more impact than you wanted, but and you know what I mean.
Because this is
You're
why
just
this is why I say
Mhm.
like season 2 of The Walking Dead. Sorry to cut you off, but this is why I said season 2 of The Walking Dead was solid. Because for me, the theme of that, or maybe not the theme, but the important thing about season 2 of The Walking Dead when you're taking control of Clementine is the fact that you're meant to start making the big decisions in that game.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter what gender you are, like you're in the apocalypse. You have to start making those decisions, and that's what season 2 of The Walking Dead was all about. The reason why I don't like season 3 is because we shifted that role to a whole new protagonist, so it doesn't follow up well with that with what season 2 did. With season 4, it's better than the previous games. It comes close to 1, but it's definitely better than those previous 2 games because now it's Clementine who's taking on the role of the protector,
Yeah.
who and like she's taking care of Alvin Jr. now. There's a difference between the way Lee taught her and the way she's teaching Alvin. With the
Mhm.
way Lee taught her, Lee was already lived in the world we live in right now, which is way too similar. But like, considering we have a pandemic going on at the time of this, but because he remembered that world, he was still trying to somewhat protect her innocence, and that was Lee's role as a protector. Like, you don't want to get this girl lost in this world because she was already born outside of this fucked up time that she's in. But with Clementine, Alvin was born in this world. So all Clementine can really teach him is the world he lives in now and how he can survive. And that's what I think makes the game a great sequel, because as Clementine, you understand the world you lived in before, and you understand that there were certain rules, with how things worked. Like, for instance, when Alvin kills somebody, to him, he's just protecting people because that's the world he
Mhm.
lives in. It's kill or be killed. With Clementine, she understands the world she was in before.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it great, because it's kind of harder to teach him like that. It's hard to teach him about this world that he knows nothing about, when the world he's living in is just kill or be killed. And that's where, like the duality with the way Lee taught her and the way Clementine taught is teaching AJ comes in. And that's why I think the final season is a great sequel, because it takes the story that Clementine was on of her growing up in this world, basically becoming Lee. I don't know, you
But
guys.
then, yeah. But then she, like, obviously it's different because AJ doesn't know anything
Yeah.
about like how it was. So it's just like, do you follow Lee's path or do you make your own decisions on how they should be taught.
Exactly. And that's just like, that's another example of a game following, like for me, a great sequel following up the themes that the previous game laid the groundwork for. Yeah, but I wanted to like just chime in on that. I didn't want to cut you off.
Yeah, no worries. Well, talking about more like what makes good sequels. Like I said, like gameplay. So I could give like, I'm an Assassin's Creed expert here. Basically, in the first game, mans couldn't swim. It was actually trash. you tried to swim, you died.
Could your
I don't
character
know.
not swim or something? Like,
Yeah, he couldn't swim.
wait.
You literally couldn't swim. You fall in the water, you die.
You're an assassin, trained killer, hopping on rooftops and shit. So you're trained to hop on top of rooftops and fall in like, what do you call it, like hay bales and shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can't swim.
Yo, that was the first game. I don't blame them for not having it. Obviously, they're testing it, see if it was going to be good or not. So I guess they didn't go the extra mile and make swimming.
I mean, but
thing.
In universe,
literally you die.
It's kind of like, what are you teaching them? you just take a step in water, you're just gonna like sink to the bottom like a sack of bricks.
Yeah. But then, obviously, in the next Assassin's Creed 2, yeah, you got swimming. That was the first thing I did. I was like, oh, water? Let me jump in that. Let's see what happens.
Just jump in like, pool party, let's get it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm swimming. Let's go. But like other stuff they improved on was like gameplay. Basically having, you were able to like even fly, like, because time progressed obviously into maybe like, I don't even know, 400 years. That's inaccurate, but something like that. So they were just starting to make planes or whatever with Leonardo da Vinci. So they added a new aspect of playing the game, was like flying in the sky and doing those kind of assassinations, which was pretty cool, and also traveling.
Okay.
And I don't know if the first Assassin's Creed had a fast travel. I don't think so. I think you had to just go all over the place on your horse, and you couldn't enter the village, like the towns with your horse. You had to get off. So they also improved in that gameplay wise. But yeah, I think like good game, like you need to improve on gameplay every single time. Oh man, let's see me join.
This dude joining the fucking. Look at this dude joining this shit right now. Like, look at, and he just cuts. Look at this dude. That's staying on here. Look at this dude. Unprofessional. People, comment down below. Unprofessional.
Yo, I got my last shooting badge in 2K. Let's go.
Why the fuck you bring up 2K here? Here, like,
it's the best sequel, bro.
Oh, best I guess 2K games are technically sequels.
Oh man.
I mean, if we're talking best 2K sequel, it's obviously 16.
What you mean, bro? What do you say? It's obviously the one where like the VC is like literally the plot.
Is that every 2K game?
I was gonna say.
Isn't that every 2K game? VC is literally the plot.
No, I thought it was the hoverboard. My bad.
I mean, if man's bring up 2K real quick, like 2K16, best 2K sequel, yes, yeah.
I don't remember.
Was that the one where green releases didn't always go in?
Yeah.
To be honest, you could say 2K. Other people say, what was it 2K? Not 13.
14.
It's the one where they got my career.
14.
First time. The 14?
Yeah.
You finally got my.
I think so.
No, it was before.
Oh, it was before?
It was before, like.
Wow, I don't know then.
That was like 2K, maybe not 10, maybe 2K11, something like that. I think people would say that's the best. just because they got my career.
Yeah. I was thinking about like the ones we've played.
Yeah, the ones we've played definitely 16.
I guess for
Well,
Ghost,
that's
it's
because
just
it's
it's just 2K19.
No, I played 19. My bad. Yeah.
For Ghost, 2K19 is like a standalone game.
Wait, is this guy joining or what?
I don't know, but I'm gonna continue. I was gonna say something, but like I forgot it because this dude fucking joined and just I lost my train of thought. This fucking guy. Someone else go because I actually forgot what the fuck I was gonna say. Thanks a lot, Smeet. Way to fucking go.
Well, we were describing what makes a great video game sequel.
Yeah, I know, but I had an example. I had like 3 things on my mind, and I forgot what I was gonna say next. But I guess I'll just ask this: is Red Dead 2 a sequel?
Well, yeah.
And I know by name it's a sequel, but if we're looking at it in terms of story, it's not. It's a prequel.
It's a prequel to sequel. I mean,
That's true. That's true.
No, it's Red Dead 2. It's the second game in the franchise, but it takes place before Red Dead 1. Because I was thinking about bringing up Red Dead 2 as a great example of a sequel, in which just everything is better. Gameplay, world, story, characters, it's all better. But can I really say it's a sequel?
I don't think so. Maybe they were saying it like in order is like 1, 2, obviously, but then it doesn't continue the story.
No.
It is set in the same world, I guess. Yeah.
It's hard to classify those type of games.
Is Red Dead 1 the sequel to Red Dead 2?
I guess Red Dead 1 is the sequel.
So just know that downgraded hard.
Red Dead 1, Red Dead Redemption looking like fucking potatoes compared to Red Dead 2. Alright, so I guess Red Dead Redemption is a shitty ass sequel when you put it up against Red Dead 2. Oh my god. I was just thinking about that. I was like, how do you classify those games? But let's talk about a different Rockstar game. Honestly, probably from what we've played, maybe like personal opinion, we're gonna have different thoughts on the best video game sequel. But GTA 5, at least one of the greatest sequels of all time. At least.
Of course. 100%.
Do we even need to say why?
I haven't played GTA 4, so I have no idea how that was.
I've watched GTA 4.
The fact, name something that GTA 5 has done that no other game will have done.
Will have done?
Or will ever do, I think.
I ain't seen a game that put in flying motorcycles, so...
Oh no, I was gonna say, it came out on PS3, PS4, and it's gonna come out on PS5.
Yeah, that. Alright, there you go. That's the reason why it's one of the greatest.
I thought you were talking about gameplay.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about gameplay. I was like, oh, let me think.
I mean, they also keep updating the game, though. They haven't...
Yeah. I mean, like, they keep updating the game and leaving Red Dead Redemption 2 in, like, fucking purgatory.
They're like, campaign's good, we're done.
Yep. all the effort of Red Dead Redemption 2 went into the campaign. But I mean, was GTA 5 one of the first games with an open world the way it had it? Like the way it was done in GTA 5? Was it one of the first games to do something like that?
For multiplayer?
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like it was, or at least it was the most popular. Like if there was another multiplayer that did what GTA 5 did before that, then at least GTA 5 is the most popular.
Okay.
I mean, like, come on, we all know why it's a great sequel. Heist, online, clubhouses and all that. like we all know why GTA 5 is a great sequel, one of the greatest sequels. We don't even have to talk about story or anything like that.
I mean, my worry is how's GTA 6 going to topple it?
What's GTA 6?
I mean, if they announce in the near future.
What do you mean? They're gonna be announcing GTA 5.5.
5.5.
Oh my goodness.
They'll announce GTA 5 for the PS6 before we get GTA 6. It's just like at this point, I don't even know if we're ever getting. Actually, I shouldn't say that. We're gonna get GTA 6. They're working on it.
Yeah.
It's just gonna take a minute.
They need the money. They need the $69.99 charge people that.
What do you mean they need the money? Bro, unless they're like gonna physically put me in the game, I don't know what money they need. Unless like this shit is gonna turn into SAO, like what more do they need?
Well, I get to call back on that.
I'm trying to think of another example. Oh, I have another question, and this is like E-Man would be the best at answering this. Do you consider Mortal Kombat 9 a sequel or the first in a new series?
Let me brush up my memory on Mortal Kombat. Hold on. Mortal Kombat 9. What was the difference between 8 and 9? Oh,
I have no idea.
yeah, I played this one. Yeah, definitely the first.
It's the first in a new series.
Mm-hmm. Let me look at Mortal Kombat 8. What was that? Oh, this one. Really?
I mean, what's the difference though? I never played Mortal Kombat. I only seen like.
I just know
So wait, Mortal Kombat 8 is so old. PS2.
Yeah, because Mortal Kombat 9 was meant to be because I think you know what came after it. I think DC versus Mortal Kombat came after that, and that was a game.
Yeah.
that was a game that came out. So I think I'm not 100% sure, but they didn't really make anything after that. And then Mortal Kombat 9 came out, and it was supposed to be like a reboot, sort of. Kind of like Days of Future Past, reboot, retelling, whatever, spin-off sequel to the Mortal Kombat franchise. And then that's how we got Mortal Kombat 9, 10, 11. And that's how Mortal Kombat became one of the most confusing timelines, because I have no idea what's going
Mortal
on anymore.
Kombat is so, bro, I played Mortal Kombat on PS2, Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. I think, no, something like that. I think that's what it's called. And that had one story. That I played Armageddon. That had a different story. People are alive again. And now Mortal Kombat 9, people, I don't even know.
Oh,
people should be dead.
You think
people
that's confusing?
should be dead?
Bro, Mortal Kombat 11 brings in time travel.
Oh my god.
Like, I don't even know what's happening. It brings in time travel, alternate timelines, friggin' like characters' children. I don't even know what's happening anymore.
Yeah, I used to follow the story heavy.
Oh, Liu Kang's a god now, by the way.
Liu Kang's my boy. Just know. Been my boy from time.
He's a god and Raiden's immortal. Not
okay.
immortal.
What's going on now?
Yeah. Like, I don't know what's happening with that franchise anymore. I want, like, 10 was good. I like 10.
The games are cool. But story-wise, no idea what's going on. But I can tell you right now, 9 and 8 are worlds apart. So I'd say Mortal Kombat 9 is like a reboot, like first game kind of thing.
If we were counting it as a sequel, definitely, I think that was the best one, like one of the best ones. Because it's great, and the way it ends was crazy.
Yeah.
Here's something, and y'all would have like either slept on this or would not even thought that this is like a sequel. There's like, do the Pokemon games count as sequels?
You know which one counts as a sequel? Which one is it? Silver and Gold?
Silver. Oh, and then they remade them and made like Soul Silver and Heart
Yeah.
Gold.
The one with Lugia and was it Ho-Ho on the
Yeah,
covers?
yeah.
That is one of the best video game sequels of all time. Here's why. I'm pretty sure that was the
Here's
first
why.
Pokemon game to add color. The original Game Boy one.
Okay.
Or at least in the Pokemon franchise, that was the first one to have color.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you finish the first region, which was the Johto region. Am I right?
Yeah, that's the Charmander one.
Yes. No. That's Kanto.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know, the first region you start out in that game, when you finish that, the region
that
from
game,
Red
yeah.
and Blue unlocks. So once you're done with that, you go back to the first game and you collect everything from there. As the character in the second game, you're still continuing, but unlocks the region from the first game and you collect all the Pokemons from there. And then you have to be all the gym leaders again. And then once you're done all that, you face your, and this is really weird. Because you know how in Pokemon it's like you're 10 years old and I don't know, I guess you're considered a legal adult, so you can just go out into the world and hunt wild animals and force them to fight each other.
Enslave animals.
Enslave.
So once you're done beating all the gym leaders, beating the Team Rockets and the team whatever they are, right? You climb this mountain and you face the previous protagonist from Red and Blue. I mean, is like Red. That's his name. So I guess you just face previous protagonist from Red. You face him in a Pokemon battle, and he uses your Pokemon that you had in Red and Blue. But
Jeez.
for some reason, he's 10 years old, and he's just camping on top of that mountain.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, yeah.
I don't
He's just chilling on a
understand.
mountain, bro. He's just chilling on a mountain.
Go to your family, my guy.
Like, he's like an anime character. He's just standing on the mountain waiting for his arrival.
And it's a cold ass mountain too.
Yeah.
Like he ain't got no jack or anything. He's just chilling on top of there.
His Pokemon are D's, bro. His Pokemon are D's.
Yeah. They're like hella high level from what you had in the first game. It's like I don't remember any of my Pokemons being this high level. But like it was just so cool that it unlocks the previous map and you face your previous character.
And the thing is, to do all of that stuff back then, that was crazy.
Yeah, especially on the Game Boy. Of all things. And it was in color. I think that was what I was gonna bring that up earlier. That thing I was mentioning that I forgot. I was gonna bring up Soul, or not Soul Silver, like Silver and Gold. I think that's what they're called. I want to bring those up because I do think that's one of the best sequels. Because it just takes everything from Red and Blue and just dials it up to 11. And then everything after that just reduces it to 5.
So you're saying the series got a better sequel just because it was like a continuation?
It wasn't just because it was a continuation. It's how massive it was for a Game Boy game.
Oh, okay. I see.
Because you're playing 2 maps. You're basically playing the first game again, right? But it's also the fact that you're facing the character from the previous game, which was that's what was so cool about it.
Okay. I guess I never played it, so I never experienced, but that does sound interesting. I never had a Pokemon game like that.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. But Chetty, that thing you were saying, like, would you consider Pokemon games sequels? It's so tough to say because you never really see any of the characters again, aside from Silver and Red and Blue.
Yeah.
I guess you could say like they're in the same universe, most likely. Let's assume they all take place around the same time. Let's assume all these 10-year-olds are off fighting these terrorist organizations and capturing these Pokemon to fight to the death. Then yeah, I guess you could consider them sequels. But there's only one Pokemon game that I would consider a great sequel, and it's Silver and Gold.
True. Can't argue with that.
You guys have any other examples of sequels? Because I'm trying to think.
I can't think of one on top of my head right now.
I'm trying to think of one more, and then we could wrap up. Hey, what about Temple Run 2? Let's talk about great video game sequels. Hey, Temple Run 2 took what the first Temple Run did and made it better. See, now you're being hunted by a giant prehistoric monkey. And you can play as Usain Bolt in that one. So automatically, Temple Run 2, one of the greatest video game sequels ever. 10 out of 10.
Uncharted. I never played it, but I heard good reviews.
You never played Temple Run 2?
No, Uncharted, not.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Temple Run 2.
Well, I didn't play Temple Run 2.
No, you did or didn't. I don't know. You cut out there. All right, we'll never know.
Uncharted.
We'll never know, fam.
We'll never know. But I mean, Uncharted is more of a email thing. You would know.
Man, I need to play those games again. But what's the best though?
I always
believe it's
choose the best.
2.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
All of them are great. So it's like all of them could be a best sequel, but yeah, I guess 2 is the best.
I heard that 2 was like one of the first games that had that, you know, that train sequence.
Yeah.
I heard 2 was one of the first games to really do something like that.
Really?
I could be wrong.
That
Also,
could be.
I mean,
true.
like,
I guess something like that, yeah. While like moving through like the map or whatever.
yeah.
It's basically like endless, to be honest. I don't know how they looped it.
I mean, maybe they put in like the same structures and they didn't notice. Speaking of great Naughty Dog sequels, let's talk about The Last of Us Part 2 for the millionth time and why it's a great sequel.
Let me talk about it. You can chill. So Last of Us Part 2. If talking about gameplay sequel, PogChamp. It's the best. That was a huge improvement. Great sequel. Great gameplay.
If we're talking about graphics and
gameplay graphics, yes, sir.
What a great sequel.
You know, I'm more gameplay oriented, so like that's it.
That's the game. There was no story. It was just gameplay. That's it.
But if you're going based on gameplay, that game was great. 10 out of 10. And graphics, 10 out of 10. I don't know. Only game that competes with graphics wise is like for PlayStation, PS4 is Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay, well you haven't played Final Fantasy VII.
What, the remake?
Yeah.
Yeah, I played it.
No.
Well, you're gonna put last? Nah, you can't put them.
Yeah. What?
They're good. No, nothing wrong with the graphics.
I don't know.
They don't compare. They don't compare graphics wise. I don't think they compare.
All right. What about God of War?
Oh yeah. Well, at its time when it came out, it was the best. I'd say. 2 years ago.
I think Ghost of Tsushima is better. World graphics, like background, all that stuff like that. Character models are fine.
Yeah, literally my background for PlayStation now, like my home screen is like Ghost of Tsushima screenshot. You don't even think that's a screenshot.
The game you haven't finished.
That's true. I haven't finished, but that game's sick.
You haven't even finished Act 1. Like,
I'm lacking.
Yeah, you are.
I'll tell you that I'm lacking.
Just know we were supposed to do a podcast on that, and I'm the only one who finished the game.
Hey, if Kasim wants to join whenever,
all right,
we can talk about
me and Kasim, and you and Smee have the game, and just you and Smee like have all these games I bought and just have not finished them.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay,
Like, why am I game sharing with you guys?
Hey, I contribute money-wise sometimes.
Sometimes.
But the games I actually want to play, I do.
Yo, Kyle, whatever happened to Monster Hunter World? That's technically a sequel.
Is it?
Yeah, there's an original Monster Hunter.
Oh my god. Well, I guess you can say it's a great sequel because I guess it improves in every way. I'd be down to play that. It's just that I've been grinding like a bunch of other games. Like I have Mafia Definitive now, so that's the only reason why I haven't been on Monster Hunter. But yeah, I think I mean we're pretty much getting off topic, so I think that like wraps up this episode, right? And we
Yeah,
pretty much we talked about all the sequels we
we,
wanted to talk about.
definitely missed sequels. Don't know what they are, but I know we did.
We missed sequels. I mean,
let us know.
we can't play
when you
every
let us know.
damn thing in history.
Let us know which
So,
sequels
I mean,
we
if we-
miss.
Hey, let me do it. All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let Kyle know specifically, okay?
yes, let me. If we miss any sequels, any video game sequels, comment down below. Let us know what they are. Tell us why you think it's a great sequel, or just comment down below. Tell us what you think makes a great video game sequel to you. What's important? Is it story? Is it gameplay?
Yes.
Is it
Tell us
something
about-
that's not either of those things? If not, then why are you playing video games? But
Tell
now,
us about. Oh,
stop cutting me off, man.
yo.
let me do my thing. But that'll do it for this episode. We'll see you guys next time, whenever that may be. Who knows? We're very inconsistent with our schedules. But we'll see you on the next episode. I am not going to promise what episode that'll be about. But make sure you follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. The links will be down in the description below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well as like our videos. That is always a huge help and a huge contribution. And we will see you guys next time.
Yes, sir.
Adios.
Bye, guys. Actually, follow us on Instagram. We'll pull up some polls.